Influencers cannot be trusted. They're making you believe stupid stuff, buy stupid crap, and do stupid crap. If you follow everything they tell you, you might find yourself actively ruining your life. But millions of people do exactly that every single day. So, how do influencers manage to gain so much influence over us? South Park covers tactics, the effects, and the possible solutions to this influencer cancer in the special Not Suitable for Children. The first question, obviously, is how on earth have influencers managed to become so influential that they can start riots and prop up billion-dollar brands? No, it's not the fame. People don't listen to these guys just because they're famous. It's actually the other way around. These guys became famous in the first place because a lot of people liked them and were listening to them. The fame is just a product of that likability. So, how do you get millions of people to like and trust you when you have zero talent? South Park has a blueprint for you. There is one simple trick that influencers use to constantly connect with millions.
All these stupid boomers, people over 40 don't know how hard it is for young people.
Yeah.
That's the trick. Relatability. If you can make millions of people look at you and think, that's literally me, you're halfway there. Clyde's favorite influencer, Logan LaDouche, is an expert at being relatable. He's rich and tall and jacked out of his mind. Pretty much the opposite of Clyde. A short, scrawny, bang-average kid who probably can't bench press a pillow. But Logan LaDouche talks about how he can't stand people because he finds most of them stupid. He talks about how grown-ups don't understand him. Clyde also finds most people stupid too. His dad doesn't even understand him. His dad's girlfriend doesn't understand. Nobody really understands him. And that is relatable AF. Clyde finds himself loudly agreeing with everything Logan LaDouche says. That's how he becomes a fan. Being a fan of an influencer does have a massive downside though. That downside is a parasocial relationship. A parasocial relationship is just a fancy term for a one-sided friendship. Clyde thinks he's friends with Logan LaDouche because of all that relatability. In conversations, he refers to the guy as my influencer. But Clyde is not the only fan. There are thousands, probably millions of fans who thinks they're friends with Logan as well. In an era where most people don't have IRL friends, these parasocial relationships tend to be even stronger than they could otherwise have been. The first thing Clyde does when he gets home is turn on the computer and listen to Logan talk. The guy gives Clyde very unique advice. Stuff like, be yourself.
When I feel like I can't be myself, that's when I need a hydration drink that'll pick me up. That's when I need cred.
That's when they get you. Influencers use the parasocial relationship you have to sell you stuff. And because you already like influencers, corporations know that you're more likely to buy. This is where the problems start. This is the entire business model. Influencers sell their influence to the highest bidder, and whatever that highest bidder is selling isn't always good for you.
These crazy hydration drinks that say they're healthy, but are loaded with fake sugars and are not safe for children.
Now, it's obvious why influencers shill crap they would never buy themselves. Money. Fame is short-lived, and a lot of these guys know they're gonna fall off in 3 to 6 months. So they have to try to make as much money as possible during the short window of relevance that they have. But what about us fans? Why do we fall for it? It's not like we don't know they're getting paid to shill this crap. We know, but we still buy it anyways. Why? Firstly, most of us are too lazy to research anything that is recommended to us. Second, influencers and corporations like to use a combo of 3 incredibly ancient marketing tactics: exaggeration, misdirection, and plain old lying.
Cred is 100% sugar-free. Cred has electrolytes so you can ride your bike.
Drink Cred at your school today. Not intended for children.
Cred is a parody of Prime. Prime claims to only have 2 grams of sugar, which is supposed to make it healthy. What Prime fails to mention is that it uses dodgy artificial sweeteners, and it has almost triple the amount of caffeine that you would find in a can of Red Bull. These kinds of drinks also like to use fancy terms like electrolyte to confuse you. An electrolyte is just dissolved salt. If you have salt in a shaker, it's just salt. If you add some of that salt to a glass of water, that water is now an electrolyte. It's that simple. But they won't tell you that. They deliberately use the term electrolyte to make you think you're drinking super soldier serum. All this information is easy to find. You can read the ingredients list, or you can watch any one of the many exposes that have been made about Prime. The information is out there. So why do people ignore it and buy drinks like Prime anyway? The answer is psychological manipulation. That brings us to the dark side of influencer marketing, in pretty much most kinds of marketing, by the way. These marketing strategies focus on flipping two manipulation switches in the brain. To find the manipulation switch, we just have to check out the opening scene of Not Suitable for Children. We open with Cartman stuffing 2 bottles of cred into his backpack and then holding a third one in his hand. His mother thinks that's a little too much. Cartman disagrees.
Mom, a kid today is defined by their hydration drink. I have to have more cred than anyone else.
And he does. Everybody else has 1 bottle of cred, but Cartman has 3. He walks through the school hallways like a king, rapping about how he's got cred. In the cafeteria, all the kids are drinking cred with their lunch. Clyde is the only one who doesn't drink cred because his parents won't buy it for him. But if he admits that, he would be considered a weirdo and get excluded. So he lies.
Hey, Clyde, where's your cred? Oh, it's in my... I already drank it.
Clyde pretending that he has cred just to be accepted is a perfect representation of the lengths we will go for social acceptance. Our need to belong is so strong that we will literally do anything. This thing is inescapable, by the way. We are a tribal species. We like forming little groups and hanging out together. These groups that we form develop certain characteristics to differentiate themselves from other groups. Kind of like how sports teams with their colors and chants and rivalries. Every group of people you can think of has a specific uniform. This can be an item of clothing, a language, an object, an activity, a certain attitude, or a combination of multiple different things. Bikers have their bikes and sleeveless leather jackets. Bankers have their suits, and Kardashians have their plastic surgeries. Even groups that define themselves with how they're different from everybody else still end up looking the same because they adopt a certain uniform. That's why you can easily pick a goth out of a crowd. Even groups like religions and political ideologies, which might contain millions of people who speak entirely different languages, still have uniforms. You can easily tell someone's political beliefs once you see the pronouns in the bio, or the MAGA hat, or the little crucifix on the necklace. Even people who don't wear these uniforms still hold a certain set of beliefs and attitudes that are consistent with other members of religious groups or political parties. They might not tell you, but the uniform is always there somewhere. A person who doesn't consider himself a member of any group is exceedingly rare, assuming he exists in the first place. We see the same dynamic at South Park Elementary. Thanks to the tireless work of influencers, cred has become the prevailing uniform. This is inspired by the real-life situation in American and British schools where Prime has become the uniform. Now, selling a uniform to a group of people is obviously very profitable, but that's not enough. Because do you know what's better than making a lot of money? Making even more money. So how exactly do you make more money after you've sold your hydration drink, to every kid in every school in the entire country? Well, that's when you flip the second manipulation switch. For the second manipulation switch, we have to go back to Cartman. He's walking around through the school hallways feeling like the man because he has 3 bottles of cred while everybody else only has 1. Until he runs into Spencer Hollis. Spencer has 6 bottles of cred. Cartman can't stand it. He storms away in anger and declares war on Spencer.
That's a real cred drinker. Unlike all the poser cred drinkers like Spencer Hollis.
This is a second manipulation switch. It's another human weakness, our desire for status. Once we have been accepted into a group, guess what? We now want to rise up in the ranks. Bankers try to outdo each other by adding more expensive suits, bikers go for faster bikes, and so on. This is what Cartman and Spencer Hollis are doing. Every kid has cred, so they flex by having more cred than everybody else. Cartman is not willing to accept that he has less cred than Spencer, so he tries to change the rules by labeling Spencer as a poser, and then labeling himself as a true cred fan.
He never even cared about cred. He just drinks it because some stupid influencer said it's cool now.
Cartman even starts the whole cred affinity group just to prove that he's cooler than Spencer. Cartman's little status games might look silly, but it's one of the more pathetic realities of our existence. Grown-ups are not immune to useless flexing either. They actually do it way more than kids. When you look at life, you realize that it involves a whole lot of status games. More often than not, we're all just trying to outflex each other. It's why the entire luxury industry exists. Grown-ups flex with cars and boats, and kids flex with toys and hydration drinks. Corporations encourage this because they're selling you all this stuff. They turn objects that have already been accepted as a part of the uniform into a status symbol.
Introducing new Magic Cred. It's a super limited edition only available to select few.
Cred deliberately creates artificial scarcity to maintain the desirability of its status symbols. They keep releasing new flavors but only in limited quantities. Cred could easily produce 1 million bottles of a flavor like cherry bubblegum, but it won't. If it's too common, then it can't be a status symbol. This is the same thing Prime did. Humans inherently value what is rare. Unsurprisingly, crafty businessmen use this weakness of ours to create fake scarcity so their products can look more valuable than they actually are. This is what Cred does, it's what Prime does, and it's what the luxury industry has always done. It's very good business. If you make something rare, you can charge a lot of money for it. This also has the additional advantage of making the customers who are lucky enough to buy it a lot happier, because they can flex so much harder. But sometimes these tactics can go too far. After Clyde finally gets busted for having fake cred, the whole affinity group is discredited. They go from cool to whatever the opposite of cool is. It's a depressing time for all of them, until they find a way to redeem themselves.
My influencer said there's gonna be a big cred promotion at a CVS in Pueblo.
The all-new cred flavor, Mega Cred, is about to drop. Nobody else has tried it yet. The boys realize that if they get this new limited flavor, they'll be considered cool again. So they ditch school and take the bus to Pueblo, which is 200 miles away, by the way. Sadly for them, thousands of other kids have the same idea. Cred only has 50 cases of Mega Cred, nowhere near enough for all the kids who are hoping for one. The whole thing immediately turns into a stampede as everybody tries to get one, and Clyde nearly gets crushed to death. For all their trouble, the boys end up with nothing. That's when Clyde realizes that his influencer played him.
He knew there wasn't gonna be enough cred for everyone. It's like they wanted to create this false scarcity. Give all us kids FOMO.
The boys go looking for Clyde's influencer. Clyde, Cartman, and Tweak want an explanation, but Butters has been completely brainwashed by the marketing tricks. He just wants cred at this point. While the kids are doing this, other problems are happening around them. The subplot of Not Suitable for Children deals with another serious problem that influencers have created for us: the social media to spicy content pipeline. It all starts with a story that has become far too common in news headlines these days. A teacher at South Park Elementary has started a side hustle as an OF performer. Parents are reasonably outraged. There's a lot of shouting and screaming until the vice principal mentions this.
She makes an extra $10,000 a week.
Did she say $10,000 a week?
The lights go on in Randy's head, and just like that, Randy starts an OF. But it's not as easy as he thought. He can't find subscribers. He gets into arguments with his wife, and she starts her own OF out of spite. She beats his subscriber numbers in just one day. And this is not surprising. Sharon is a woman. People are way more interested in paying to look at naked women than they are paying to look at naked men. But that doesn't mean every woman is successful at this. Most fail miserably. The average OF creator makes $180 a month. But you have to be aware of averages. They can be very deceiving. If one person makes $1 million a month and 9 others make nothing, the average earnings for that group of 10 is $100,000. So looking at averages will give you the wrong idea of what's going on. You might be thinking that everyone is making $100K, but in reality, the top 1% are making all the money and the rest are making nothing. Randy is in the nothing category. Nevertheless, he is determined to find fans by any means necessary. That's when he discovers trend jacking.
See, what a lot of influencers will do is they talk about things and show things in their videos that are trending. Then you can hashtag that, and the search engines will think your content is trending.
Once you incorporate a trending topic, social media algorithms index your videos and start recommending them to people who are already invested in that topic. It's the easiest way to get views online. And Randy finds a monster trending topic: cred. He starts incorporating cred into his videos, and his views just explode. This move is once again inspired by a lot of IRL influencers. There's a certain girl who has gained millions of followers, and God only knows how many OF subscribers by doing exactly this. I won't mention her name, because she's been sending her material to 14-year-olds and all that other criminal stuff. All she does is trend jacking, putting on a Spider-Man costume and jumping on viral TikTok trends just to shake her smelly butt. She only uses TikTok and Instagram to funnel kids and thirsty men to her OF accounts. She is the most notorious one right now, but she's not the only one. This is the kind of thing that we all can agree is despicable, I hope. But these influencers would never admit this. They always have a plausible defense.
Children aren't allowed on OnlyFans, Sharon. It's totally safe.
But we all know that's bullshit. Everybody I know started watching pizza delivery movies as a kid. I started at 13, and I know a bunch of guys who have started when they were even younger. A friend at school told me which website to visit, and that's all I needed. Once I got started, I discovered all the other sites by myself. And a paywall is not a serious obstacle either. Any kid can steal mommy's credit card and sign up for anything. You've probably done it, I definitely have. And you may not have even got caught because most people don't check each line item on their credit card bill as long as the total looks normal. I used to buy stuff on Amazon with my mom's credit card and she didn't notice for like nearly a year. And then I got stupid, bought too much stuff, and she noticed that her bill was way higher than usual. If I had stuck to $10 to $20 charges, I probably would have never been caught. That's how easy it is for kids to get access to this stuff. And that is without getting into a lot of how these influencers deliberately target kids by using social media apps as a funnel. If you're doing your stuff on the hub or some hardcore site somewhere, sure, you can argue that you're not targeting kids. But when you're actively promoting yourself on Instagram and TikTok, you can't honestly make that argument. These apps are full of kids. You know what you're doing. So, whose duty is it to protect these kids from these predatory influencer tactics? Well, we could ask influencers to stop being trash. That's not gonna happen. Okay, influencers will never stop exploiting their fans for money. What options do we have left? Parents?
We can't control what our kids drink or what they watch. They're your kids.
Yep, parents aren't psyched up about protecting their kids' internet activity. There are a few reasons for this. Now, obviously, some parents are just lazy. They just want to outsource the job of actually raising their kids to somebody else, usually teachers or the government. These types can always do better. But the second and much bigger problem is that there are things parents simply can't control. Parents do their best and still lose kids to these predatory tactics. Clyde's parents are a good example. They refuse to buy him cred because they know it's not good for him. He hates them for that, and then does everything in his power to get it because of the immense social pressure from everybody else at school. When Clyde gets exposed for putting apple juice in a cred bottle, he ditches school to go to Pueblo with Cartman, Butters, and Tweak so they can get some real cred. They didn't get any. Instead, they nearly get trampled to death and their parents have no idea. There is no way for a parent to predict or control such sneaky, rebellious behavior, but the kids have been manipulated out of their minds, so you can't really blame them. They're 10-year-old kids. I believed a lot of nonsense at that age, and you probably did as well. Kids tend to believe everything they're told at face value when their brains are that young. Skepticism is something that only comes with age. So, if parents can't protect kids, who can? What about corporations? Well, those are actually the enemy.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of companies that want to pay you to show your videos to not kids.
Corporations are at the very top of the list of entities that want to influence kids by any means necessary. Influencers may do all the talking, but they're just rented mouths. The actual words are coming from somewhere on Wall Street.
Just keep making your stupid videos, they'll tell you what to say.
Corporations target kids because it works. Get them young and they'll be customers for life. Some things can be fairly innocent. Take me, for example. I have been using the same brand of detergent my whole life because an ad I watched over the course of several years when I was a kid told me that it was the best detergent in the world. I tried other detergents, and even though they look like they do a good job, it just doesn't feel like that. So I always go back to that one detergent. And I'm willing to bet my last dollar that you've probably had a product like that in your life as well. I know it's silly and irrational, but the corporate propaganda for that detergent has me on lock. I can't help it. I just have to use it or my clothes just won't feel clean when they look clean. This detergent is a fairly innocent purchase. It's not gonna kill me. But alcohol companies, cigarette companies, vape companies, and whatever the hell Zyn is, are using the exact same tactics. Advertise to the kids and you can sell them forever. Who else can we possibly turn to? The government? Not trustworthy either.
100 from the Chinese government.
First, the government has propaganda it wants you to believe, and it also wants you to disclose your cash income on your tax returns so they can take it and bomb a school in Afghanistan or whichever country happens to be the enemy of the month. When the government is well-intentioned, it never intervenes unless something goes horribly wrong. It's very good at reacting to bad things after the fact, but it sucks at preventing them. The government can arrest your murderer and throw him in jail after you're dead, but it can't do much to stop the murderer from killing you in the first place. That's on you. In Not Suitable for Children, Randy is only arrested after minors start doctoring pictures of minors because they were inspired by Randy. But even then, he still gets released because he cooperates with the FBI. In our world, an influencer would never be arrested for recommending garbage products or funneling children to a platform hosting explicit content, because you can't really make any charges that would stick under our existing laws. So, what options do we have left? Sadly, we have to take matters into our own hands, just like the boys.
I know what town my influencer lives in. I want some goddamn answers.
The boys track down Clyde's influencer, Logan LaDouche, and question him on why he manipulated them all like that. We know why.
I'm just this tiny little piece of a very big lie. You guys are all being manipulated.
Logan is just a hired mouthpiece. Somebody else is pulling the strings, but just as he's about to reveal the puppet master, he gets JFK'd. But we all know the puppet masters of influencers: corporations, governments, and pretty much everybody else with a message to send and money to pay. The boys leave Logan LaDouche's motel room without any of these answers, and that's when they run into Randy. He's been scared straight and he is dumping all his cred. He finally tells them what we already know.
You have to know that someone is always trying to get to you.
The methods might change, but the intention will always be the same. In the 1900s, they used school textbooks, newspapers, and TVs. Today in the 2020s, they're using online influencers because nobody reads newspapers anymore. There will always be someone selling you something. Corporations will try to sell you products, and organizations like governments, political parties, and religions will try to sell you their ideas. Influencers are just hired mouthpieces of these entities. You can't just accept whatever they say or recommend to you. You have to critically examine it before making a decision, because there are groups that will always try to influence you. And this is the message Randy gives to the boys. They're eager to announce it to everybody at school.
We have news that you will all find shocking. You see, we talked to Mr. Marsh, and he gave us 4 bottles of Jelly Roll Midnight Waffle House.
Oops. The kids never learn the lesson. They know they're being played, but they just don't care as long as they get some cool points at school. Don't be like them. You're a grown-up.